Hello, welcome to the Metaphysical Journey. This is February 2nd, 2024. Happy Groundhog Day. This is that magical time of year where if you're a groundhog, you come out from underground. And if you're in the northern states, you look around and say, oh, hell no, and go back underground for some more weeks of winter. If you're in the southern states right now and you come out and you look around, you'll probably think, this is doable. I'll go back in for a short nap, but come out again soon. And then spring's right around the corner. So happy Groundhog's Day. This day reminds me of, as a lot of people, of the movie Groundhog Day, where you have an actor that's kind of caught in a repeating cycle over and over and over, and he keeps repeating the day. It was a great movie, and it's like, it really represents how many times we feel about our life. We find ourselves in the same pattern over and over and over. And so with that in mind, I wanted to do a card reading. I know I haven't put one out in a while. I just haven't been feeling the energy of it. It's one of those times, we're all going through that. So I'm like everyone else. I'm normal. So I wanted to do a tarot reading, and to set the tone for this, I pulled a rune, and this is Naudhiz, and this is about the need to survive. Now, you're probably thinking that song, I will survive as long as I know how to love, I know I'll be alive. There's a lot to that, but in the time where this came out in the ancient times, survival it's about being very self-reliant and overcoming obstacles. In the ancient times, the need to survive included things such as like being able to find food, being able to hunt it down, or find it on a bush or something, some type of food, not freezing to death. That was definitely something you needed to survive, and also not being eaten by animals. No one wants that. Now, today's needs for survival, the basic survival, a little bit different, because those very basic needs for the most part are met, but we still have to survive in that we have to make money, we have to pay our bills, we have to keep a roof over our head, keep our car going, or have money for transportation. So the survival, the reasons why we need to survive have changed over the centuries, but the basic need is still there. So Naudhiz sets the tone for this reading. I'm going to do a 3-card reading. Of course, I pulled an additional one for each one, so 6 cards, but I'm going to be looking at the situation, the obstacle, and then the solution. So starting us off with the situation, the first card is the Queen of Cups. Now, the Queen of Cups, and in this particular deck, it's like a crystal tarot deck, and they have Angel Aura quartz is associated with this particular Queen of Cups. And there's a saying at the bottom that says, I trust my knowing and follow my heart. Now, this queen is the most intuitive of all the 4 queens. She can tap into her own feelings as well as those of the others around her. So she can use this to tap into all her spiritual gifts with ease, but she may find it difficult sometimes. Keep holding that up there for you. She may find it difficult sometimes to deal with the material world. So she's very much in the heart. And so that means she's thinking with the heart more, with the intuition, but not necessarily with the intellect. She can become so involved with the spiritual side of things that she completely overlooks things such as paying the electric bill, stuff like that. Now, can you relate with that in any way? So the question here is, and again, this is the situation that you may find yourself in, and it's going to play out in a variety of ways. This is a collective reading, so this will resonate with some and not with others, and that's okay. And always use your own intuition on the cards, definitely. But the question is, how in touch are you with your own emotions? How often do you follow your heart instead of your head? So the current situation may find you trying to decide between which of the two you should follow. Do you trust your gut or intuition, or do you go with what you think is the logical choice, or most often what other people are telling you that you should be doing because it's logical to them? So that's right? So in short, is your emotional life in balance with your physical life in the current situation you're dealing with? So what are you dealing with? And that's the second card, and that is the Lovers. Boy, I have a light on in here and it's really glaring on there. The Lovers, and the crystal associated with this is rose quartz, and it says, I trust my knowing and I make a commitment. So this kind of clues in on what's going on. This is about making a decision between something. Now, looking back at the Queen of Cups, it's a decision that you make. It's like you feel one way, but you think another. So this is about that. Now, the Lovers this card can be taken so many different ways. So if you think, hey, you have a new love coming in, for some of you, that may be the case, but for others, that's not necessarily what it means. This could relate to not just love relationships, but also partners, friends, coworkers, colleagues, business partnerships, business ventures, etc. It can also mean making a choice between things, big things, not daily little life decisions like, do I want a mocha frappe today or do I just want an espresso? Nothing like that. But these are decisions that can be life altering, life changing, not just for you, but for other people around you. So it's a big decision. And that's where the situations you're trying to balance everything and weigh between what you think and what you feel. However this shows up for you, it might feel like in some way there is a loss of control on your part in the decision that you're making, almost as if you're being forced to do this. You don't want to, but you're kind of being pushed to make this decision. It's crunch time, and that is what you're facing. So as I said before, these decisions that you're facing are not the normal day-to-day type of things. This is big. This is like a life-changing moment, either for you or for other people around you or for all of you involved at the same time. So the obstacle facing you. Now, this is interesting. At least I think it is. And this is the Queen of Swords. So you start with two different queens. You have the Queen of Cups, which is in the emotions side, and then you have the Queen of Swords, which is definitely extremely intellectual. Now, I heard a reader once say, a reader that I really love, she commented, and it made so much sense. She said she thought that at one point the Queen of Swords used to be the Queen of Cups, but after being hurt so many times because of following her heart and not listening to her head when she should have, she finally said, I'm done with this. And she upgraded to be the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is balancing the two here. Let me talk about that. The Queen of Cups is heart. The Queen of Swords is intellect. So it's kind of like heart versus head. So the Queen of Swords can, of course, be very caring and loving, but she is also very blunt about what she thinks. So she's the heart with a mouthpiece. And if she's not feeling it or the emotions or whatever up, she's going to speak it. And also, too, this energy, when feeling under attack, the Queen of Swords can be very prickly and can use her words as weapons. Now that's kind of a deadly thing. Imagine it, you're very intuitive, you kind of sense everything and feel everything, but you also have the Queen of Swords going on, and you use that information and you can use those words to really hurt people and cause the deepest wounds. So this would be an obstacle, is that you have to make a decision, but maybe you're so far in your head that you've kind of pushed aside the emotional component. It's like, I'm just going to go with what it is. So it's not a bad obstacle. It's just being aware of it and knowing that you have to find the balance in between. And the Queen of Swords, and you probably know people like this, they always know the right button to push. They always know because they have it. So do you feel that maybe you've become like this in a situation that you're currently in? Being nice and caring just isn't cutting it any longer, and this might be the obstacle. So different ways that this could play out is, one, feeling that you must push aside the heart to go in for the final blow, or perhaps believing that you have to act in a certain way when in reality your gut's telling you something isn't right about that approach, but you're still kind of moving that way because you feel like you have no choice, that it's harsh, or it's get walked on, you know. So again, with this energy, you could feel that you're under attack and you're really having to push back. Another obstacle could be that it's time to finally be honest about the situation or something, but you're not comfortable doing so, and you need to embrace a little bit more of this. So there's different ways it'll play out for you. Now, the follow-up to this, for the obstacle, clarifying it a bit more, it's the Ace of Pentacles. And the crystal on this is malachite. And the little, if you want to say, affirmation on this is, I am always rewarded for all I do. Do you feel that sometimes you're not being rewarded, and that's what's really causing you to have these deep internal feelings about something like, this just isn't right, this is messed up, I've done this, I've done everything right, and still this isn't working out for me? And so this is all part of the obstacle. It's like you have felt a certain way for so long that it has just all gone into your head, and now you stew on it over and over and over. It's like, it is time for this to stop. So the Ace of Pentacles, depending on the current situation, this card could indicate that you are making a decision to move forward or accept something that will benefit you financially or in some other material way, such as job, promotion, career, etc. A lot of times when this one shows up, because it's pentacles, it's like wealth, and it's the ace, and it's like, yay. Not always playing out that way though, because wealth can be, or abundance can come in a variety of different ways, not just have dollar signs or some currency symbol in front of it. Also, too, with the Lover's card in mind, this could be coming out of your head and making a heart-based, feels right in the gut type of decision to move forward with the person or some form of a partnership that will enrich your life. So maybe the block has been that you're like, I feel one way, but I don't know. Logically, it just doesn't make sense because of what if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we can come up with a million what ifs. But yet inside, we just feel like this would make me happy. Maybe that's been an obstacle. You're not allowing yourself to go back into the heart, into the emotion, because you've been hurt so many times. And you're not allowing yourself to open up to the possibility of something new, like in the Ace of Pentacles, trying to come your way, that you're actually blocking this because you're so in your head. So this is overcoming the fear and logic of something to go with what you feel is right for you. Trusting the all-knowing, and you know what that is, the all-knowing sense that you have about something, and just taking a risk and going for it. You have vision, but do you trust and believe in that? The last category is guidance. How do you move forward with this? And it starts off with the Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups. And the crystal on this is aquamarine. And the little affirmation says, I accept my situation without resistance. Now, what a beautiful follow-up to the last one, where we ended with possibly you're blocking new things coming in. And then this one, as guidance says, open yourself up to that. So what does that look like? So this card shows up in readings whenever it's pretty much time to move on. You've fought the fight, you've done everything you can do. It's just sometimes time to move on and say, I can't do anymore. I'm tired. This is no longer my fight. This is no longer my energy. This is not the hill I want to die on. I'm going to move on with my life. And this is not an easy thing to do. And the reason why it's not easy is because we often feel like we're leaving the stability that we've known in order to go into the unknown. Now let's talk about that stability. What does that look like? Many times that stability is something that we've grown comfortable with. We don't like it, we don't really care about it, but it's known, and it's easier to kind of deal with and gripe and moan about than to go out and seek the unknown and go into something that it's like, I don't know. You've heard people say, you're going to jump right out of the frying pan and into the fire. Stay where you are. At least you know how you're going to sizzle, and they'll flip you over from time to time, when you're done. But this Guidance is about taking that risk and stepping out. So, isn't it better though to sometimes search for something new that inspires us than to stick with the tired and the tired and tried and tested because it's comfortable? It's a challenge, but in the end, usually you'll notice that it made a lot of sense. He's like, I'm happier now. Now I'm talking about those decisions you make when you have everything in balance. You're going with your gut. You're often going against other people's advice because they're like, don't do that. And you're like, it feels right. So you make that decision, you move with it. And in the end, it turns out you were right. It's good that you trusted yourself. And this is a time where you want to do that again. Start believing and trusting in your intuition. So everything seems logical, rational, yet your intuition is telling you otherwise. And that is the guidance here. Follow your intuition, not necessarily your head. So the two queens, whenever you get in that moment where you're like, what do I do? That's where the two queens are in conflict, and you can feel it. You have the two queens kind of battling it out, battle of the queens, and they're probably best friends. I mean, seriously. But remember, the Queen of Swords at one time was a Queen of Cups before she upgraded because she said, I've had enough of this shit. I'm done with this. So the two queens are in conflict. So maybe it's time as guidance to consider a career path change or going back to school to upgrade or learn new skills. These may be things that you're currently working through and questioning, do I do it? Do I not do it? Possibly it's time to follow a new dream, as crazy as others tell you it might be, but to you, it just feels right. Maybe as well, and I put this last because this is never my first choice ever, is maybe it's time to leave a relationship or a partnership that just no longer makes you feel valued or alive, regardless of how hard you've tried to make it work. But now you just feel bitter and you're angry about it. That's never good. I believe that if there's love, it's always worth fighting for. But sometimes, if there's only one person fighting for it, it's not always the best situation to be in. So you'll know if that's right for you, but that may be currently what you're facing. And if it is, I'm very sorry that you're going through that. But listen to your intuition and balance that with your thoughts and your mind. So the last one to follow up with this for guidance. Let's say you work through all of that and you make these changes. You bring the two queens together for the final, Jello pit or mosh pit, whatever they're called, show off or showdown. You can tell I don't watch fighting shows, right? It's just not my thing. But anyway, the two queens come together and they fight it out. They walk away friends. Everybody has free Jello. And you do all of that. So what is the last thing that can show up? And that is the Wheel of Fortune. And the crystal for this is green aventurine. And the affirmation says, I trust whatever the universe brings me. Key point here, whatever the universe brings to you. And that is part of the guidance. Understand that a lot of things happen that you have zero control over, zero control. And the Queen of Swords likes to have that control. They like to have that. So there are many times that usually we don't have any control. We know what we wish, what we want, and we put it out there, but it doesn't always come back that way. The one thing that we do know for sure, that we do absolutely know, is that change always eventually happens. It's inevitable. We can't stop change as much as we want to. If that were the case, I wouldn't have any wrinkles. But I digress. So change always happens, with or without our wishes. Nothing ever stays the same. The guidance here is to embrace the change and just work with it. The universe is bringing this forward to you at this time because it is time for this to take place. It's going to push you into and you already feel it more than likely when you think about this decision. Why it's so hard in this situation is you are weighing out the known With the unknown, is it going to be uncomfortable? Am I going to fail? There's so many fears with the unknown because they're unknown. So we automatically attach fear to that. But it is time to make this change. And this is big. And the Lovers card showed us that the change and decision that you're making is life changing. It's not that you're just going to decide tomorrow to use a new shampoo or something. This is big. This is life changing for you and possibly other people around you. So this is a big decision. You want to be as balanced as possible. The universe always has its own plan. Sadly, it's not ours very often. And that's not a bad thing, because when we make a plan or we put something out there or conceive an idea, all we have to go on is what our brain can do. And our brain is very limited as far as what we can see and project, because we only know certain things. And everything we come up with is based on our experiences, things we've seen, experienced, etc. But the universe is limitless. It's infinite possibility, and we can think of like one or two. So the universe always has its own plan, and it's always for our highest good. So remember all those times when you thought or you spoke about what you don't like in the current situation you're in, or with the people you're in, or the partnership, whatever it is. All those times you moaned about it and you were just letting off steam. Well, the universe was listening. It was. And maybe now all this is coming into play, and the guidance is to accept this and just go with it. So working with the changes you feel are coming or needed, or both, they're coming and because they're needed, they can, if you do that, it can bring you into alignment with a much happier and content life that you didn't even know was possible. It can bring fortune in a variety of ways and definitions. Again, fortune is not always money. That can start to come forward. You might start to see the luck, as you call it, luck, that you've been looking for so long starts to come around and shine down on you. You might get your big break or several breaks. It's like, wow, the floodgate is opened. For all this time I've been struggling, and now everything seems to be happening. Every time I drive somewhere, I get all the green lights and all the great things are happening, best parking places, you name it, things just start to change. Now, that's not a given, but those are indicators that you are in sync with the universe and with this card. You might also find yourself in the right place at the right time to step into the opportunity that you desire. You never thought it was going to happen, but suddenly you wanted a promotion at work, and someone, you wanted a certain position and you worked hard for it, but that person was never going to leave. And maybe they meet someone, they fall in love, and they move to Siberia, and boom, there you are. And they need someone to do the job, and you're perfectly placed. Things change all the time. No, I was not going to use they got hit by a bus example. That's just kind of harsh. So anyway, good things happen to them. You're never going to get a break because something bad happens to someone else, unless it was illegal activity and they go to jail. But in the long run, that's a life lesson, right? For them. Anyway, that being said, another thing that can happen is the cycle that you've been stuck in for so long can finally start to clear up. When you are in sync with your right path and you are balancing your heart and your head, everything starts to flow out. So this card, though, I also want to mention this. This card can also indicate that as things around you change, so will the emotional highs and lows, because it's a lot of different energy coming in. And so you have to, your body, to keep adjusted, is going to, let things off, take things on, etc., to balance itself. So you may find some very emotional highs and lows. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It just means you're receiving a lot. So use that knowledge, be aware of that, and use the knowledge to balance the energies of both the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords in the decisions that you make moving forward. So basically, ride the waves and surf responsibly. That's what you need to do, and that'll help you out. I hope these cards have helped in some way, that they resonate with you. Thank you so much for following me on the metaphysical journey. And again, happy Groundhog Day. Thank you. Y'all have a good night. Bye.